I like that. Yeah, because I see you guys sometimes back in there in the sound booth, you know. Some of you don't realize they can actually play games on the computer while the stuff is up here on the screen. So, yeah. Some of the high school boys have done that in the past, yeah. Well, today's Father's Day, and we're sort of starting a new series. We finished off a couple of weeks ago with talking for a few months about women of excellence. And what we're going to look at for the next couple of months is just raising the standard. Raising the standard of different areas of our life. Probably for a couple weeks, we're going to be looking at being a dad this week, and I'm thinking next week. Then we're going to look at raising the standard of marriage, raising the standard of fighting well. Because there's a good way to fight and a bad way to fight. So, raising the standard of fighting well, raising the standard of singleness. Some of you are single, and all of us, or a lot of us, have kids who are single yet. Raising the standard of what does it mean to be single, and how does God call us in our life to live a single life. So, that's what we're going to be looking at about the next 6-8 weeks, is raising the standard. But I want to, this morning, just ask the question. It's a rhetorical question. None of you need to respond. But when do boys become men? When does a boy become a man? Is it when he is able to actually beat his dad in wrestling? I did that at 14. I could beat my dad at wrestling. And I thought that was the point in time that I sort of started moving to that manliness. My sons and I have arguments as to when they actually started beating me in wrestling. I think it was later. They say it was sooner. But when do we become a man? When do you become a man? Is it maybe that first time you get your own credit card? Or you go out and you buy your own car? Maybe for some high school boys or young college kids, they say it's the first time they have that physical experience with a woman. And then all the other guys say, now you're a man. You know, when is the point in time that you become a man? Is it when you get married? Is it when you start to have kids? Does that make you a man? You know, there's all these different ideas of what we think it takes to be a man, but the reality, in some respects, we're having within our society an issue today of men not stepping up, or boys not stepping up to be men, to become a man. Just go back with me to the Old Testament. The definition of a super dad. A man is in the Old Testament, and this is within Yahweh God's perspective, biblical perspective. It's interesting for Jewish people. A boy, age 13, will have a bar mitzvah. Bar means son of. Bar is son of. Mitzvah is the law. So when a Jewish boy turns 13, they have the bar mitzvah. They become the son of the law. And from age 13 to age 20, we're going to see here within Leviticus 27 verse 3, that boy is called to move into manhood. Don't have the passage up here on the screen, but Leviticus 23 verse 3 talks about the fact any male who is 20 years old to 60 is supposed to give a larger portion of tithes to the temple. That's what, within the Hebrew context idea is, you become a man when you're 20 and you give more tithe, more money to the temple. We also have in Numbers 1, chapter 3, that a 20-year-old for the Jewish Hebrew people at that point in time was a man and could go off to war. Before that, not. 20 years old, off to war. So it's interesting, when you look at Scripture, Scripture talks about the fact that when do we turn from being that boy to the man? Within God's eyes, it seems like it's about age 20. 20 years old. But today, we as I said, we sort of have an issue with people, with men not wanting to step up. Not wanting to step up and take over that responsibility of being a man. So, I have just 7 ideas here I want to share with you. I wish I could say they were my original ideas. They're not. You know, I do a lot of reading and pull things from other books and whatnot. But here's 7 ideas of what it means to really step up. To step up and be a man. Step up and be that which God has called us to do. So, all you women today, I hope you don't tune me out. We sang the song, you know, turn the radio on. Don't tune me out just because I'm talking to the men this morning, because for 2 months I was talking all about excellence of women. Okay, so don't tune me out. But here's some ideas for men of what is called to be a man. The first one is a man accepts his masculinity. A man accepts his masculinity. Some of you may have read the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Or is it the other way around? Women are from Venus, men are from Mars. I started reading the book and I just couldn't quite get through it. But there is a reality that men and women are different. There's a reality. Now, I had 3 younger kids, 2 boys and a son when they were growing up. And my daughter sometimes would like to twirl around in front of the mirror, and she would wear these little, I'm sorry, I wasn't going to talk about you guys, but any little girl, okay, any little girl tends to like to wear these skirts, you know, and they twirl around in front of the mirror, and they wear the tutus. Is that what they're called? Yeah, tutus. What do the boys like to do? They grunt. They spit. They like to wrestle around with each other. They like to beat each other up because they want to show who they are. They're doing their masculinity part. You know, they show their muscles. They got... Even the little 3-4-year-old boys do that. Right? I mean, if you're a parent, you've seen it before. To be a man means to accept our masculinity. To accept the fact that King David says to his son, Solomon, before Solomon becomes the king of Israel, David says to his son, be strong and show yourself a man. In other words, the simple words are, step up and be a man. Man up. Isn't that a word that a lot of us have heard at times? Man up. Come on, you're 20 years old, you're 25 years old, you're 30, you're 50 years old. Man up and take on, as we're going to look at, the responsibility of being a man. First idea here is that as a man, we're called to accept who God has created us to be. Our masculinity. Second idea is, a man is one who speaks and acts with maturity. Speaks and acts with maturity. Back in 1991, Robin Williams redid the movie Hook. Some of you may remember the movie with Hook, with Peter Pan. Wonderful movie. I think there's an issue today that we have a lot of men who have the Peter Pan syndrome, who are men of age but still want to be boys when it comes to their responsibility. Let me read from this book. This book says a lot better than what I could. Teen years are often wasted and fathers have become silent. This generation of young men doesn't know why or who they are or what God has called them to become. So they wander into the future. They drown themselves in entertainment, and they live for the weekend rather than for eternity. Rather than being responsible men of the Word, they are non-committal and dependent upon their mothers. Sherry Butler and I were just talking about this morning. She works up at Western. Hopefully this is okay. She works at Western in the register office, and she said sometimes she wants to say to parents, hey, parent up and let your kid be the adult that they have to be. Don't be the helicopter parent. That's what this is saying. Rather than being responsible men of their word, men today too often are non-committal. They're dependent upon their mothers. Rather than excelling and leading like previous generations, they are passively watching women their own age surpass them in the classroom, in the marketplace. Rather than initiating serious conversation with wiser men, they goof off with fools in the sports bars. Their identities are wrapped up in pleasing themselves and wasting their time. not bettering society and training up the next generation. They then carry this into their families. Sometimes it's a 30-year-old who won't stop